G'day, g'day. Welcome back to the Last Lines of Noobs and Men. I'm Sean, and we're here with the big man himself, Sir J,
Bonjour, how are we?
living our best life. Just returned from Clash, which is what we're going to be talking about today.
Absolutely.
So
This is take two. We originally did it probably a day or two after Sean got home, but then the file decided to shit the bed. So we're
yeah,
committed to the cause and
that's
we're
it.
redoing it.
We're redoing it. But here we are talking about my 5 games at Clash.
100%, 100%.
Yeah,
Sean, the way we're going to kind of structure these videos is, well, more so for the viewers rather than Sean. We're going to go through like leading a conversation, talking about the list, talking about the games briefly, and then kind of, moving forward, what's next? Because I mean, Clash of the Titans,
Clash with the
like
Titans. Yeah,
Clash of the Titans, run by Andreas, Metalik Studios. We can put like a link
yes,
in the description there.
absolutely.
Fantastic job. He's been running this for a few years now, and this was I'm going to call it here, the biggest Australian event. Full stop. 81 players in the end. It was at 88 and then dropped down to 81. Like big numbers, big tournament. That's actually really exciting to, be this close to cracking 100 players for
And
SBG Australia.
I'll put this out there. The best tournament I've ever been to.
That's great.
So smoothly run.
Yeah.
Any hiccups, the TOs were onto it immediately. Uh, any controversies going on, again, the TOs onto it.
Yeah.
They were phenomenal. If you had any questions, both Andreas and Kylie was the assistant TO.
Yeah.
They
They know their shit.
masters at the game, and you have any questions, they come in and questions answered. So very, very well done.
Right. That's great. So for aspiring TO, Australian TOs, or even international TOs, if there are any people outside of Australia watching this channel, um, hit us up, hit that Andreas up, and just
Yeah,
ask questions. Get in there.
absolutely.
I mean, he's running a great event and he's got the wheels turning. That doesn't just happen. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like tournaments are a thing where you got to build up and then progressively get nice and smooth. But
Absolutely.
once you're there, you're there. Hey. Anyway, enough about that. Run us through your list. So
All right,
5 games, 2 days.
I'll pull up the list. So
Yeah.
this here is my cheeky
Right.
600 point Gondor list. So 600 point tournament, 5 games over 2 days.
Yep.
And this was my nasty, nasty ministerial list. So I've got 49 models, I've got 11 bows, broken at 21,
41
quartered at
goals.
10, and 9 points of might. Now, my leader is Denethor. Now, he's running around with 2 Fountain Court Guard with shield, so nice D7, fight 4 in there. 4 Citadel Guard with longbows, so spear swap for longbows. 4 Warriors of Minas Tirith with shield, 4 of them with spear and shield. An extra warrior with bow. Then you move on to Ingold, who's essentially got the exact same warband. So you've got 1 warrior with bow, 4 with spear and shield, 4 with shield, and 3 Sit Guard, swapping their spears for longbow. We move into Old Mate Kyrian, 2 Sit Guard with the weapon swaps into longbows. And now the creme de la creme, we have 2 Avenger Bolt Throwers and a Gondor Battle Cry Trebuchet.
I think it really just depends on your definition of creme de la creme, because it's absolutely disgusting, personally.
It's
The
filthy.
couple of things that I didn't notice the first time going through this list was just how many longbows you have. So correct me if I'm wrong. There's what, nine
There's
longbows?
there's 9 longbows and 2 regular strength 2 bows.
Okay, so your longbows are strength three, so elf
Yeah.
shooting. Okay,
Hitting on 4s with strength 3. So yeah. Going up against those D5 armies, massive. Absolutely massive.
money, absolute money. Talk me through the thought process between running nine bows on top of the two bolt throwers and trebuchet.
So just the pure threat. That's all it is. If you're going to capitalize on one phase of the game, which the bolt throwers and trebuchets, the shooting phase is your
Yeah.
phase. That's what you want to do. So I decided I wanted to capitalize on that, and then on top of that, you take Sit Guard who have bodyguard. So any terror
Mm,
armies that I run into,
you
I
don't
can
get in.
use. I can use that. It is a very positional army, which is why being able to stop or run into terror models is big, which is another reason Kyrian is there and absolutely, oh man, he's great. He's great. But ultimately, just trying to capitalize on that shooting phase.
Okay, so you basically like got a list in mind. I think it's important to talk about the fact that when you build a list and you want to build like a competitive list, because you're not going here really in the mindset of I'm gonna go and lose 5 games. Like you want to do well. It's 81 players, yeah.
Yeah.
What's your list do? And you've kind of just gone nose head first into the shooting phase, really.
So when building this list, look, ultimately, I never planned on doing very well at the tournament. My goal was to win 2 games and to stop a couple of people from getting onto the podium.
Be a pest.
Yeah, I just wanted to be a real pest. Because, long drive up to a tournament, then you're playing for the next 2 days, and a long drive back, I was going to be knackered. So I was like, we'll just see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, when building your list, when I look at this list, I go, cool, this list works in the shooting phase and it works in the movement phase. So I'm going to be doing my damage in the shooting phase, and I'm going to win my games in the movement phase by positioning my army in certain ways. Once the battle lines clash, I'm not looking to kill, I'm looking to outmaneuver, outposition my opponent to get onto objectives, to surround key models and take them out.
Yeah, little things like throwing a single dude into a monster can be massive, and then they have to hurl a different way when your army's hanging, behind you the other way. Little things like that.
Exactly. Which is how I went up against the Bears, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But exactly what I needed to do with them. Any opportunity I could just to throw one guy on so that the hurl goes another way, and then having to block him out as well. Which is why you'll notice in this list, there's no banner and there's no cab models.
You don't need it.
I wanted to hoard out as much as I could. That was the plan. Having a banner is great. I love banners. I will never not say banners. I will never say don't take a banner.
Yeah. Could you veto in this tournament?
No, this was flat. So we knew the scenarios. Once we all submitted our lists, we then were told what the scenarios were about 5 days later.
That's risky. You're going to run into, what is it, two of the scenarios with banners?
Oh, yeah, I think there was 2 of them with banner. So taking the risk there, but
my banner.
But look, with all the shooting, banners, they were gone. Like your banners either staying at the back of the board, not affecting your troops in combat, or I'm shooting the shit out of it and you're not getting your banner VPs. So I think only one banner survived against me all tournament, and that was on the back of Suladan.
Oh, meta. Love it. Awesome. Right, man. Let's get into game 1. Who were you up against? And what scenarios?
I won't spoil the scenarios. I'll spoil them as we go into each round. But round 1 was against Russell Barron, a great lad. Actually came up for the Queensland GT last year with his mate Daniel. So big shout outs to him. We played Fog of War. Now this was a 12-0 victory to me. And I got very lucky with the trebuchet and with the bolt throwers. This was the game where they spiked really, really hard. So my target was, so I should go over his army a little bit. He had the King of the Dead, a Herald, and then a couple of Riders of the Dead, and then just the rest Warriors of the Dead. So a stock standard pure Army of the Dead list. And look, it is a solid list. I was a little bit worried going into it. If my bolt throwers weren't performing, I could have been in strife.
Yeah, for sure.
He's out there wounding me on 4s with Blade of the Dead and Harbinger, so absolutely massive.
Like you've got a fair bit of D5 in there as well, so like that's not the worst thing in the world. And you can stop him with your bodyguard, which is massive.
Yeah, that was a big thing. Having all that bodyguard, so the 9 the 9 Citadel Guard, and then the 4 Found Core Guard. Massive in that game against running into terror stuff. Huge. And Kyrian as well, with his +2 courage, technically +3 courage because of the Gondor army bonus. Absolutely massive.
What's his courage with the plus?
He goes up to courage 7. So his courage 4 base, +2, takes him to the 6, and then +1 more because of the army bonus. So yeah, big plays with him. But no, Russell played a good game. But as I said, my bolt throwers just they spiked. I want to say they killed at least 15 Warriors of the Dead before any combat kind of happened. Maybe a little bit less. But the big one was turn. Yeah, absolutely fucking feral. The big one though was my target, which was the Herald of the Dead. Got direct hit by Trebuchet on turn 2 or 3. So just immediately, rough times for Russell and I. But hey, he did what he could to try and outplay me, but ultimately ended in that 12-0.
That's a hard round 1 matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was one of those games where I think it could have gone either way. Obviously went my way with the spike from all my shooting. But if that didn't play off and he got into me, as I mentioned, he's winning that game. So
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely big.
All right. Round 1 done and dusted. Round 2, big victory straight off the bat. 12-0, jumping up the ladder.
That is a crushing win at the tournament. I can't remember how all that stuff worked out in terms of what's a crushing and whatnot. But we move on to round 2, which is against a Suladan and Witch King list. So starting to look at GBHL meta kind of lists.
It's too good.
It's amazing. And now we played Storm the Camp. Now I'll let people sit on that for a second, look at my army list and think, how's that game going to play out?
Very boringly.
Very, very boringly. And I felt terrible. This was the worst that I felt. I felt terrible for my opponent. I didn't make an attempt on his camp. My goal was to break him and win the game 3-0, and that's exactly what I did. Trebuchet spreaded him out, bolt throwers picking off models, Zagdush just disappeared into a red mist. Suladan survived a couple of shots. I think it was Zagdush.
Really interesting.
I think it was Zagdush. Yeah, and then Suladan as well. He tried his best to get to my line, but he ultimately failed. The Witch King hid behind a rock. Yeah. Look, the terrain was not great for him, and the scenario was not great for him, and I was a bit of a dickhead. I'd just come off a 12-0 victory, going, I think I can do well here. And it's also round 2. If you're looking to win tournaments, you kind of want that small win in your second round.
For sure.
And so I was
on that a bit more at the end because I've got a few things on that.
Hell yeah. So I wanted to play into that a little bit, which I did. And so I didn't give my opponent a proper game. And Theodore, I apologize, man. I know you're watching. I'm so sorry.
Theodore, I'll apologize sincerely because I would never play something like this. I apologize that you had to go through something like this. That's a pile of shit.
Yeah, it was
seriously. That's actually. This list exists, and shooting heavy armies exist. So in that situation, that's a hard red. What could you do outrageously? I'm thinking, to help even that matchup. It's a shit mission. It's an absolute dog shit army to go against because you're basically just going to go the whole time.
And a very open board as well.
That's hard. That's really hard.
Everything was going against Theodore. The only thing I could have done which would have turned it into a game, yes. But my chances of winning from that point is so low. I could have near on abandoned my siege weapons, and just run forward. But if I do that, Suladan's carving me, the Witch King's carving me. I don't have the big heroes to deal with either of them. So I had to play the scenario, had to play it that way, which
at least it wasn't a smashing for Theodore as well. So that way, you know, like he can still, like if he goes on to win the next couple of games as well, he can still end up, you know, comfortably top 10.
Yeah, that's it. So it's a, what would it be? A minor loss to him.
Unless they did the whole.
I can't remember exactly.
Sometimes
no, I think it would have been a minor win for him.
Yeah,
because I only got the minor victory. So yeah.
Yep. Dope. Awesome. Rightio. Round 3.
Round 3.
Done your goal. You've been a pest.
I've been a pest. Round 3 was against PJ, absolute Chad of the Victorian community. People would have seen him pop up on Conquest Creations quite a lot, and I believe the next game is him playing in the Conquest Champions League. So go check that out over on Conquest Creations.
I'm so excited to see how that list goes.
Oh yeah, he's got a fun list there. But so he was running the Bears. So Grim Bjorn, 10 Bjornings, 2 of them with bows. We played to the death, which that's the Bears' favorite scenario.
100%.
That is the Bears' favorite scenario. Now, there was a little bit of jostling early on in the game, where he was staying out of my shooting distance and just trying to set himself up, which I think ultimately was a bit of a downfall for him, because that allows me to set up as well.
Yep.
There was a little bit of mismanaging with his measuring. So Grimbeorn took 2 wounds very early on from a bolt thrower, but was able to save that with bear rolls and fate and whatnot. So still had his 3 wounds. Taking
resources though.
Yeah, absolutely, which is big, absolutely big against the Bears. He ultimately decided, that's it, I'm coming in.
Yep.
And it took about 3 turns to get in, maybe 2 turns.
Yeah.
But
that's your bow time, yeah?
Yeah, that's my bow time. And my bows floundered. They did jack shit. I got a direct trebuchet hit on a Bjorning who was surrounded by 5 other Bjornings.
Yep.
Failed to wound the guy that got directly hit, and then only caused 2 wounds. Yeah. So that's how my shooting went. He got into my ranks, which is when the game properly started.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the end of me.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I just had to outposition the Bears, and I versed the Bears enough to play. Yeah. I knew what I needed to do, and I executed that. Personally, I believe I executed that nigh on perfectly.
You have to. You absolutely have to. It's like we've spoken about this in the last time that we covered the Contest of Fools tournament. I was running the Bears at 600 points, and I haven't lost a game with the Bears at 600 points. I've drawn a game, but I haven't lost a game. But that is like the points level for the Bears. Really, absolutely. And for those of us who don't really know what we're talking about in regards to positioning and stopping the Bears want to do a situation where Bear 1, Bear 2 are like 6 inches apart from each other, and then they kind of move up, and then this bear curls into this bear, then that bear gets 3 strikes. You know what I mean? And you all your Bjornings are kind of scattered around, so they've all got a banner effect as well, and you just send it. And if the Bears get on a bowling roll, bro, like I hurled down a line of Iron Hill dwarves and got like 8 of them in a row, hit a couple Bjornings on the way. That's fine. And then from there, like the next turn, I got the priority. He had no might, and then I just came in and smacked with all my Bjorn against prone dwarves, and it was like, cool.
I'll take that win. I'll take the dub. I call it the bear hurricane, where you've got the 2 bears, and they run around each other, and then you've got the big awnings running around. Yeah, they're phenomenal.
You have to stop the momentum early. Otherwise, it really does just feel like, yeah, you're just rolling dice and taking models off it at times.
Absolutely. And now with my game against PJ, he was one model away from breaking me on the turn that I quartered him. So the game ends on the quarter. He was one model away from breaking me. Gives me the big 8-0 victory.
It's massive.
Now, if we look back earlier, I was talking about there was all that positioning that he was early on for the first maybe, I want to say 3 or 4 turns. That if that didn't happen, he breaks me.
Yep.
So that's what I mean. Like, I'm happy to soak up time in a game against the Bears like that, reposition myself, get myself into a better spot, and then just kind of wait for the Bears to come in. And as mentioned, one turn away from breaking me. But man, PJ is a phenomenal player. Big, scary player. So well,
do you
chuffed I
think
was able to take that win away.
Trebuchet, like the bolt throws and Trebuchet, do you think they just got in his head at the start?
Absolutely.
And they've done their job.
Trebuchet ultimately is not there to kill stuff. It will always make its points back in game, and that's solely on the psychological factor that the Trebuchet brings. The bolt throwers do a similar thing, and they psych your opponent out, but they will do damage.
Yeah, I agree. Fantastic. And that's a really nice win to finish day one with.
Absolutely.
Because it means that you're not. So the way these tournaments typically work is it's purely based on like your battle points, right? There's no extra crazy points for like winning, losing. Like you obviously get extra points for it, but it's not, it won't skyrocket you, you know what I mean? Because there's so many players. So in retrospect, if you lose one game, you drop in a normal 24 to 30 man player, you drop a couple of spots. In this event, you could drop 15 because everyone's so tightly packed together, right? Yeah. And the battle points are huge.
We'll see that coming into the last round.
Yeah. But what it does mean is you can go in theoretically and just eke out these wins the whole way through and win the event. You run the risk of if you fall against a tie or a loss, like 30 places is not an unrealistic thing.
No, there's stories of one fella who got, I can't remember if he was on 3 wins and 2 losses or 4 wins and 1 loss. And the dude came 52nd or something.
Massive. Like, and that's not a shit showing. That's not a shit showing.
Exactly.
You know, it's just, crazy.
It's
anyway,
bonkers.
100%. Big Saturday night, chill Saturday night.
No, surprisingly for me, it was a very chill Saturday night.
Good.
I was staying with Pat. We were about an hour away from the venue. Yep. And yeah, we went out, we had a couple of drinks, we had a chicken parma. Well, I had a chicken parma anyway. $30 for this chicken parma, which was the size of my hand. It was tiny. Waste of dosh there, but tasted delicious. So I'll give them that much. And then we just decided to head back. We had a bit of a big night on the Friday, myself and Pat. We went out to a lovely Japanese restaurant and got on the cocktails. So we had our night out. So the Saturday night was nice and chill. Went back to his, watched a bit of Jimmy Carr, played some Magic, and then straight to sleep. And then we were awake about 8 o'clock the next morning, walked down to the local bakery, smashed a breakfast sandwich, and then made our way to the venue. And we were feeling tip-top shape.
Good. All right. Game 4. What happened?
Game 4 was against a fella called Riley. I believe he is a New South Welshman. And he was running a good old classic Angmar, but a bit of a different Angmar. So he was running Witch King, Gulliver, 2 Spectres of the Dead, and then the rest of his army was Wild Riders.
Yeah.
So basically, fully mounted Angmar list, a low model count, and we were playing domination. This was quite an intense game. I was able to keep what's his face, the Witch King, away from Gulliver for a large portion, actually for the entire game. So
Yeah.
that assassin
fine.
combo. Yeah, so the Witch King's at the back of the board because he's too scared of the bolt throws and the trebuchet,
Yep.
and
Yep.
Gulliver is making his way forward, jumping behind and through buildings and trees. But he missed out on the big assassination combo of the Witch King and Gulliver. Together, they are an ungodly pair.
Oh yeah.
So being able to spread that out to stop that, Gulliver got a couple of kills. So he killed one guy, heroic combats into another two, kills them. Then the next turn flies into a bunch of lads, gets surrounded by Ingold and Kyrian. They both strike up. They both roll 1s and 2s for the strike. Gulliver then, instead of killing my heroes, goes for the troops. But the next turn, I call a heroic move. He uses Gulliver's last point of might for a heroic move. I win the move off, charge in, strike up. Ingold failed to charge in, but Kyrian got in there, and I was able to surround, trap, and then kill Gulliver, and then start spreading my force to go claim objectives.
Because it's just wargs at that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just wargs, and they're pretty chill to get rid of my two small kind of shit heroes. Are very, very good at killing wargs.
Yes.
But I will be honest, that game should have ended in a draw. I shouldn't have won that game. Because the very last turn, the Witch King has 2 will left to see if he sticks around, rolls Snake Eyes. And so he's got 1 choice, 2 choices. Don't spend the will and he runs away, or spend the will and he disappears because he's out of will. So I was able to eat that game out. 7-6, so another minor win there. So
that's tight.
End of round 4 wins, and I'm feeling really, really, really good.
God, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. In my mind, that game is not an easy win, but not a hard win either. Like, it's domination. Riley's got complete board control in my mind until you reach a threshold where it will change, and you need to time that change when Gulliver goes down and there's only a couple of wargs left for you to start making your way out.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what really slowed me down from getting to the other objectives and winning this game with a bigger margin was his courage checks on everything else other than the Witch King was phenomenal. I would shoot warg riders with the bolt thrower and my bows. I'd kill the rider. The warg was always sticking around. His regular courage check, like he has one warg on an objective, and that dude just chilled there, didn't run. It was his courage checks were phenomenal, and I think that panned out all right because the Witch King then fucked off on double 1s. So
take that any day of the week, man.
Yeah, absolutely. But that was a big game, and as the game was concluding, we had God knows how many people standing around the table watching that game. That was a tight game.
Yeah, I love those games, man. That's brings a bit of warmth to the heart.
Absolutely. We will move on to the last game though.
Yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong, you should be playing for at least top spot or top 3. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so this game, the winner of this game is confirmed first place. So this is top table. This is first versus second. So I'm coming in second at this point, and Alex is coming in first. Alex was running his pure Harad list. Now, Alex has come to this tournament with the sole objective of winning so that he can win the Masters Invitational spot for over in the UK. Yeah, so he's come in really guns blazing, gung ho. He wants this win.
Yeah, good on him.
Now we played Heirlooms of Ages Past in the last round, and when I say it was not looking good for him in the early stages, it was really bad. He comes on first, rolls what was it, a 2, and a 3 for his warbands to come on. He spends a bit of might so that what's his name, Raza doesn't come on. Then he allows me to play Suladan and the Betrayer, and so I split them up. So his army is scattered to the wind. My bolt throwers and trebuchets are already pre-deployed. They're fairly close to each other, and then I come in to roll to see where I come on, and I get 5, 6, 6. So the complete opposite. My entire army is together. I'm feeling good. I'm sitting there going, I don't see how I lose this.
Yeah.
And then I lose it. No, Alex, I shut the bed. My bolt throwers did barely anything. They struggled so much. The trebuchet got a really good hit on the Suladan. Didn't kill him, sadly.
Yep.
Alex then realized that he can actually compel my own troops to dig up the supplies near me. And so he does that on one of them, doesn't roll the 6, and then he touches all the other supplies.
It's his.
And so the one that he picked it up was at the very back of the board. He plays delaying actions. There's a forest that I've got to get through or around to get to his side of the board. And it was one of those games that every turn we were being so intense with everything we were doing that we forgot about the time.
Yeah.
There was a point where we said to each other, oh, we've got like an hour left. And the assistant TO was standing next to us going, no, you've got 15 minutes. So time just vanished.
Yeah.
It was the one game that I really wish I had March. Now, a lot of people know that I don't build around March, and I think it's cool to have every now and then, but I do wish I had it in this situation. But in saying that, I would not have gotten to that situation if it wasn't for the fact that I had Ingold and Kyrian, my double strikers, because they got me through some games, especially that Gulabar game.
Yeah, fair. I can see that. I can see that in a pinch, but I am such an advocate for March. It's ridiculous. Anyway, can we just point out the big brain play that Alex pulled out of his mastermind by compelling someone to go pick up a relic?
Huge.
For goodness sakes, like that's just
Huge.
Man, to be under the pressure of turn 1, completely, the army's a little bit scattered and not there against a full Gondor army, together the way it wants to be. Good on you, man. That's wicked.
He's playing the risky game where,
he has to, bro.
Yeah. See, I picked up one of the supplies near me, just on my own terms, because I thought, man, if I get this, it's sitting in a forest. If I get this, I don't lose. I didn't get it. I was like, cool, fair enough. But then his positioning and his movement to then go, cool, I'm going to compel your guy to try and touch that objective, and then if it's not that, I can touch all the other objectives, and it'll be one of them. And I went, perfect. Yeah, he would. Oh man, big brain players from Alex. He was phenomenal. It says a lot about a player to come out of a rough situation early on, and to be able to do what he did. So he, as it sounds like, big win from him. He wins the game 10-0. He gets a cheeky a cheeky bow shot through a combat onto Denethor to do a wound. Last turn of the game, gets a cheeky black dart and kills Denethor to get even more points. I am not sad at all that I lost to Alex. He goes off and wins the event, so I can say the only game that I lost was to old mate who won the event, so that's huge. But 2, if anyone deserved to win that event and get the invite, it was Alex. That man has practiced for months and months and months to get to this point, and
good on you, man. That's wicked. That's absolutely wicked. And Sean, that's a great achievement to be coming into the tournament with a mindset of let's be a pest to switching on early. That's fantastic. So I think 4-1 respectable is great. Unfortunately, what we were kind of alluded to earlier on was you were sitting in second, but one loss, major loss, put you down to where in the end?
Well, I'll get that one up for us. Here we go. This is the final placings, and you will see on the far left, 9th place.
9th place.
So I've dropped from second going into the last round, dropped from 2nd into 9th place. Now, I did miss out on a couple of soft scores because once again, I didn't intend on going into this tournament to...
What soft score did you...
I didn't bring a display board, and
Why?
Yeah, but we did the maths, and that only puts me up to 8th or maybe 7th. So, like, it would have been better, but...
It was better.
It's better. I'll just lean your eye to over here, Sir Jay. You'll look at the... Is this recording? Yeah, it is recording. Sick.
Yeah.
I'll just lean your eye over. You'll see 4th place and 5th place. 4th place is Riley Ward, who...
my player.
Yeah, so I beat him in round 4. He was the Angmar Witch King Gullivar player. My guess is I was his only defeat through the tournament. And then you'll move down to 5th place. You've got Paul, who was the Bears player. Now, he, again, I was his only defeat at the tournament there. So, oh my God.
Just minimize it.
There you go. Cool. Hopefully this... Good luck. Yes. You love it. There you go.
So basically means that they've all gone, 4 wins, 1 loss, except their loss was not as hard, and they've ended up with more tournament points. Overall, yeah. Yeah, but
absolutely.
It does mean it's kind of bittersweet, and it would have been a little bit easier if you had have taken a fucking display board.
Yeah. My mistake on that end. But as I said, going into the tournament, I never planned on doing this well. At the end of the day, I was like, if I can get in the top 50, I'll be a happy man. But after game 1, my brain switched into gear, and I went, no, I want to try and win this. Definitely. I was so close. I was a bee's dick away from winning it.
Well done, dude. That was really good.
Yeah, and big shout out to all the players, everyone that I versed. They were all phenomenal games. Again, sorry Theodore for our game. That was a bit rough. That was very rough. And phenomenal tournament. One of the best tournaments I've ever been to. Super proud to be able to say that I walked away with 4 wins and a loss, coming in the top 10 at the biggest tournament, and dare I say the most competitive tournament held in Australia. And just, as I said, being a bee's dick away from having my name next to 1st place.
Absolutely. Yeah, and well done again, Alex. That's an absolute outstanding effort. So I think the only thing to talk about with going to an event like this, whether it be in Australia, Warhammer, like 40,000, Age of Sigmar, whatever, if it's over the 60 player mark, you need to go in with the mindset of 2 ways you can go in if you want to do well. Just eke out the wins consistently and keep slowly but surely climbing the ladder. You do run a very risky game, and the army list that you bring needs to be a consistent backfall army, like you've got multiple, plan A, B, C, D, E, etc. So you can just play the missions. Little things like the Spider Queen is phenomenal for that, because you just, like any mission, she plays 4 of them and almost auto wins them for you. Another way to go at it is you play a skew army like what you've done, and you smash and get in as many points as you possibly can. So little things like the game against Riley, if there had been moments for you to push out, go harder, or get bigger wins, because domination, yeah.
It was domination. Yeah.
Domination is solely objectives. Like break lead wounds mean squat, and the fact you came away with three means you got one objective and the leader. That's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. So no domination.
2 points for the objectives.
2 points for the objectives.
I think it's one for the leader.
One for the leader. Yeah, because it was the one for the leader that won me the game. Because that ended 6-7. So he had two objectives. I had two. We contested one.
Yep.
Yeah. We were both broken at the end of the game, but his leader then dipped, which won me the game by 1 point. And as I said, there were points in that game where, sure, I could have pushed a little bit further. Was I relying on his courage too, making him run away? Absolutely. But his courage rolls were big. They were phenomenal. But yeah, going into these kind of tournaments, as Jay said, if you're trying to win it, there's a couple of different mindsets you've got to go in with if you're trying to win it. Also, getting yourself a good night's rest between day 1 and 2 is huge. I'm notorious for getting absolutely fucking plastered after day 1. But man, am I tempted to just make them nice chill nights from now on, because there is no high. There is no high like walking into day 2 fully rested and looking at all the dusty dudes and just going, I'm feeling fresh. So
I have not done that yet.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. No, look, very, very good. I think the last thing we'll touch on is I asked you this last time and I got a very wish-wash response, and I want a good one now. What does the Australian meta look like after the biggest competitive tournament in Australia?
Holy fuck, that it is a,
because the problem is like the Australian meta. Like, you think let's use the Poms for example. Yeah, Witch King Suladan, Mordor, Lothlorien, Blinding Light. Like, that's it. Yeah,
that's what
with these lists, you can view all of the Clash of Titans lists on Andreas's YouTube, Metalik Studios.
Metalik Studios, yeah.
But I do not see like a copy-paste Easterling Legendary Legion, Assault Lothlorien Legion, Easterling Legion, Witch King Suladan, Lothlorien Blinding. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's no...
The most copy and paste lists that you'll see are the Bears. Now, I believe there were 5 Bears players in total, and only one of them got into the top 10.
You can't run the Bears different ways.
Yeah. Now, the Bears, I don't want to say they're meta, but they show up at a lot of events.
Bear in mind, this was a 600-point event as well. If you don't see Bears, in my mind, it's not a super competitive event. Just want to put that out there.
No, that's completely fair. What I found really interesting about this event was that there were so many Rohan lists. Now, we haven't seen Rohan in this number for a long while. And in the top 10, you'll see 10th place, Jack Ryan. And you'll see 2nd place, Michael Kerr. They were both playing Phaedron's guards.
Correct. Foot. I think Michael Kerr was a spam foot Phaedron's guard list with like just a smattering of everything, and it's a complete toolbox army. Like, that's exactly pretty much how I run my Phaedron's guard.
I can't remember. I know, one of them was pure foot, essentially, and one of them was heavily mounted. I can't remember who was who.
Almost certain Michael was the foot one, dude, because I looked at it and I was like, holy shit, like, that's the same as, because I don't fully rate the fully mounted version for Phaedron's guard specifically. And that was the next thing I was going to bring up, is there was a little bit of Mordor. Mordor in Australia is very
touch and go.
Yeah, like it's not the Witch King Suladan efficiency, bang, 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 bang. Like, you mentioned with Theodore, he's running Zagdush instead of, maybe he had Shagrat, I'm not 100% sure, but like, if he chose to go Zagdush, or we were talking about Razkush the other day, the spider dude in Mordor as well. it's not just an auto shagrat gore bag.
No, no,
You know what I mean?
absolutely
Like, I
not.
think gore bag's a pile of shit. Put a like a Barad-dûr captain in, for God's sakes.
Yeah, and I
You know
think
what I
touching
mean?
on the whole meta, Australian
Mm,
meta, I still don't believe we have a meta for Australia. All of our tournament scenes are so spread out. You've got
yeah,
the Sydney scene, you've got the Victorian scene, you've got the Queensland scene, the Western Australian. We Australia is such a large country that we struggle to get over to interstate events because of time of travel and cost of travel. So each state kind of has their own meta in a way.
yeah.
But even then, many don't. People will show up to tournaments with not medalists, or not what's considered a medalist overseas, if that makes sense. Like people show up to tournaments with hodgepodge, whatever they found in the fucking back alleyway that they've got left over from a couple of years back. But I think looking at this, you'll notice that there is a lot of shooting heavy armies, or
Definitely.
not necessarily heavy, but people hitting that 33%. I believe even the two Iron Hills players, both Matt Todd and Geordie Moss, I believe they both hit 33% with their crossbows.
Didn't
Uh,
Geordie have Bolt wooden teams?
no, he was playing Iron Hills. So he was playing Iron Hills
Okay,
with Gloin and Old Dane.
sure. Smack.
Yeah. Uh, you look at my list, obviously a lot of shooting. You look at Michael Kurt and Jack Ryan, who are running Theodred's guards, lots of throwing weapons running around there. Uh,
Correct.
Alex's list, 50% bows with
Yeah.
poison rerolls.
Yeah.
So I think as opposed to there being a list that is meta or lists that are meta, it's a gameplay. It's a certain
Yeah.
style of play. And I think at the moment in Victoria New South Wales, because they kind of link in a little bit together, I think shooting looks to be how it's going, which is interesting because the terrain that we have here in Australia, you wouldn't think lent towards shooting because of how dense most tables are.
Still, you look at shooting, if you can maximize shooting for a couple of turns, you're engaging and killing without engaging your models.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Huge. It's huge. And it's such a competitive list always should be leaning into, obviously depending on the army list, into, a fair whack of shooting. I definitely don't think you'll be ever sorry that you brought some shooting.
No. If you're not taking big blocks of shooting, always take a couple of honesty bows.
Right.
Absolutely.
Definitely. No, awesome stuff, man. Is there anyone you want to shout out for this or?
Just shout out to Andreas again, Metalik Studios for running the tournament. He did a stellar job. Was on to absolutely everything, and he put a lot of work into it. The prizes were phenomenal. The trophies, which man, I wish I could have walked away with one of them, looked gorgeous. And I believe he is because he's a bit of a jeweler himself. So he is making a ring for Alex as one of the first place prizes. So that's pretty damn exciting. Yeah. But good stuff. Great tournament. And I'm well proud and chuffed of how I went.
Absolutely. And I think it's final thing to mention too is you've come from a good couple of months of moving from Queensland to Victoria and not getting consistent practice games in weekly.
Yeah.
I mean,
I didn't get any practice games in with this Gondor army that I took. It was solely
Sean's played a shitload of Gondor.
Yeah.
This is the army that you keep in the back of the cupboard and you just take out because you know how they work. Like this isn't so you had that to your advantage, but in terms of practicing, even with the scenarios, how does this list go in heirlooms? How does it go in this and this? That's a huge advantage. If you didn't practice that, you are strong. I don't care how you put it.
Yeah, I will quickly touch on, so the video is not going too much longer, but I will touch on the kind of player I am is a very reactive player and a very gut instinct player. So I like to go into scenarios and games blind for the most part and just react to what my opponent's doing and adapt on that. Meet them at their level, and then just as you watch, and just as they're feeling like they're waning, you turn it up a notch. That's how I like to play. Whereas Alex, for example, that meant dude's got spreadsheets. He's got mathematical equations of if I shoot with this many bows and D6, it's going to do, or it mathematically should do. The man's bonkers. I love it. I couldn't do that. I like making an army, going, this is the rough idea of the list, put it on the table and have at it. So, yeah.
Damn. Right, yeah, that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed this style of video. Sean and I are hoping to do this a bit more, as there are quite a few Queensland events coming up being run by myself or the other Queensland TOs. We're hoping to grow the scene as much as possible. Absolutely. So that way we can start to crack, 50, 60 players up here in Queensland, as spread out as we are. So you'll be seeing a bit more of these type of videos, and we'll try to keep within a half an hour, so that way it's not dragging on forever.
Yeah, absolutely. But they're not just going to be on tournaments, they'll be on all variety of topics. It could be a debate over, is March good, is March bad, is this certain play style better than this? There'll just be random topics. So if you have any topics, if you've made it all the way to the end of this video, if you have any topics that you want to hear myself and Jay and even Liam at times talk about, let us know in the comments and we'll get onto that. But for now, get fucked. Perfect.